You're listening to the Multiverse Fan Cast, proud member of the Misfit Faction Media Network.
My name is Oliver Queen.
My name is Barry Allen, and I am the fastest man alive.
My name is Cara Zor-El. I'm from Krypton.
Everyone, this is my cousin. I guess you already know. Okay, I think I have this. Oliver.
Green Arrow.
Dig.
Spartan.
Thea.
Speedy.
Okay. And Sarah.
White Canary.
Jax. And Professor Stein.
Firestorm.
Ray.
Palmer. The Atom.
And Mick.
Oh, Heatwave.
Always a pleasure to see you, Lucy.
Hello. Don't believe we've met. Lucifer, Morningstar. Consider us even, John Constantine.
Constantine.
Is it? I don't care.
Be ready. All right, then. On with the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Multiverse Fan Cast. If you guys are listening to us on the go, you can find us on our website, themisfitfaction.com. We've updated it completely. It looks totally different. It is a lot of work from our good friend Ronnie, who is sitting right next to me, and this is weird. But you guys can find links to all of our podcast feeds, including not only ours, but also Cinematic Adventures. You can find links to our social media. You can find links to our photo gallery, which we just updated with a ton of cool stuff. And we have a couple of projects in the works. So again, that's the misfitfaction.com or our Facebook page, the Multiverse Fan Cast. If you're listening to our podcast on the go, you can find us on the following podcast apps: Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and the iHeartRadio app. So as always, like I said, I am Paul, and I'm joined tonight by Ronnie. Ronnie, how are you?
I'm doing swell, sire. How are you?
Doing swell. Just ducky. Lickety-split.
Just fine and dandy.
Fine and dandy. And also official third podcast host, Rob. Rob, how are you tonight?
Hi.
Oh, my God. It's going to be a long episode.
Good to be here.
All right, this is how it's going to go. Okay. Still a better performance than Jared Leto. But anyway. So tonight...
Or Slipknot.
Tell me the actor's name. He was on Law & Order SVU.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Adam
Beach.
Yes.
That was Adam. That's where Adam Beach was?
Yeah.
Why are you yelling?
Because
I'm
sorry, I'm shocked because I saw his name in the credits and I'm like, I don't remember seeing him anywhere.
Yeah. Well, because he was only in it for 5 seconds.
He was a plot device.
All right. Sorry.
So these movies are misogynistic, but
so what are we talking about today?
Today we are continuing our road to the Snyder Cut for the month of March. At the time of recording, we are 6 days away from the release of the Snyder Cut. Yes. Super excited. Really, really looking forward to it. So that actually leads us into our new segment. So for you guys, just so you know, typically we record every Friday and we release every Monday. Now, with the Snyder Cut, we are going to play it a little bit differently, where we're actually crossing over with our sister podcast, Cinematic Adventures, and we are going to do one big episode for the Snyder Cut. We're making it a whole event. We're going to watch the movie. Then I think it's a 4-hour movie. Take a little break probably halfway through. Rob's probably going to get drunk just to get through this movie.
I'm going to need it.
Yeah. He brought 3 bottles of tequila. But
it is a 4-hour movie.
It is a 4-hour movie.
Should have brought 4.
And with our spirits intact, hopefully we'll record right after.
And some spirits in me.
And some spirits in Rob. And we might have a couple of fun surprises for us. So if you guys are not following us on our Facebook page, make sure you do so. I think we got a couple of little things planned, hopefully. Wow, still a better laugh than Jared Leto. Yeah.
We don't want to scare them away. We've got things for you.
But so yeah, make sure you guys are following us on. Yeah, so that actually broke the sound bar. It went past the decibel reading. Thank you, Rob. But so also fun fact, a little bit of news for you guys. We have launched our official YouTube channel.
What?
I said we officially launched our YouTube.
I think that's an expression the kids are using nowadays.
Are the kids using it nowadays?
Yeah, talk about the 90s.
I think I saw Kid and Play use that phrase.
Word, homies.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you guys go onto YouTube and you search the Misfit Faction Media Network, you'll find our channel. It's a little bare right now, but we do have a couple of things that we have planned for it. Right now, you can find just our audio of our podcast episodes on there. So any likes, comments, shares, subscribes, all that cool stuff really helps out the channel, including Facebook, and even just going to our site and checking us out and telling your friends about how weird we are. But yeah. Any other news that Ronnie you have, or
No, that's about it.
that's
that I
about
got.
it? That's all you got, Rob? Anything you want to?
Nothing off the.
Like,
top
are we
of
talking
my-
about personal news or like?
Yeah, how are you
I
doing?
had a nice lunch.
You had a nice lunch. All right, but we are actually doing a double feature for this episode. We are talking about both Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey. What is it? The Birds of Prey and the Emancipation of one.
The fantabulous emancipation of the one Harley Quinn.
Yeah, we're going to call it Birds of Prey for the sake of discussion. Before we jump into the topic in our first commercial break, just initial thoughts. I'll start with Rob because it's going to start off rough first. Just initial thoughts on both movies as a whole.
Well, for Suicide Squad, this is only the second time I've watched it. The first time was in the theaters, and shockingly awful. Birds of Prey, probably the most fun I've had at a DC movie in a long time.
I am shocked. I am wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We try not to. If you think this is a bit, it's not. We try not to share our opinions before the show. So he is genuinely shocked.
I am genuinely shocked.
I actually, Birds of Prey, of all the DC movies that you've forced me to rewatch in the past few weeks, this is the only one that I actually enjoyed watching.
That's
surprising.
That is surprising. Ronnie.
We had a bad movie, and then we had a not as bad movie.
that is fair. That's fair.
I do find both of them enjoyable, though. Obviously, Birds of Prey more enjoyable, but I do find Suicide Squad to be kind of enjoyable.
So this movie for me is the perfect example of
what not to do.
No, how to properly course correct. You watch Suicide Squad and then you watch Harley Quinn. They do seem like a natural progression, where they're still playing around with the tone and how they want the movie to be, but it feels organic. Then you watch Batman vs Superman and Justice League, and it feels like they're totally different movies from totally different companies and genres.
You're talking about the Joss Whedon.
The Joss Whedon Justice League. So I thoroughly enjoy parts of these movies, but as a whole, they are rough. They are a little rough.
Yeah.
But having said that, we're going to take our commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to first jump into Suicide Squad and then follow it up with Birds of Prey. But first, a quick break.
I'll deal with you later. Stay put. I'll be back in a flash.
Back in a flash. Wow. Does he say that often?
Too often.
All right, we are back, and we are jumping into Rob's favorite DC movie, nay, his favorite movie of all time.
Who told you?
Who told us? So we are talking David Ayer's Suicide Squad. We kind of went over our...
should have done.
Easy. Oof, morbid. Wow. So we kind of talked a little bit about our initial thoughts on it. I think we're kind of the same general consensus with this movie. Yeah, it's this one's rough.
I can start.
You want to go through the cast first?
I was actually going to go with the contextualizing it and putting it into like where it is in terms of the DC history and why it was when it was.
All right, hit it.
Okay, well, if I'm correct, it came out right after BVS, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And Batman vs Superman was criticized at the time for being too dark, too depressing, and this was also the time that Guardians of the Galaxy was very, very popular too.
This movie took homage, or just ripped it off completely. I don't know what you're talking
ripping
about.
me off. So with the success of Guardians of the Galaxy, DC kind of went, oh my gosh, look at what they're doing in terms of their comedy, in terms of their music and everything. Let's try to do something with it, because there was an original different approach, and they said, okay, with the reception that Batman vs Superman got, we need to lighten up the tone a little bit. And like you had mentioned earlier, they course corrected, and so this is a course correction from the darkness that is Batman vs Superman. And because David Ayer, has a history of doing some very dark films, like a Fury. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Yep.
It's a tank film, where it's difficult, it's dark, and it's thoughtful though. He is a good director, and although Bright would suggest other. Have you guys seen Bright with Will Smith?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Ooh, wow,
Yeah.
that was a dog.
It's getting a sequel.
I know.
Yep.
Well, because it made so much money on Netflix. It made that Netflix money.
Yep.
And so what they did was, when they had this movie, they decided to lighten the tone a little bit and and the reshoots dictated a lot of comedy.
Oh, yeah.
And then they got pop songs in there and everything. And it was sort of a reaction to that.
Yeah, they had 6 weeks to do this script. The reshoots, really, like, some of them are super evident. Not as bad as Fantastic Four, when Sue Storm's hair is totally different. Man, that wig.
Yeah.
But this movie had a lot going for it. I remember the first trailer came out. We were really excited.
Oh yeah,
As was I.
Yeah.
Then the first Joker image came out, and everybody was kind of like, "Oh,
wait, what?"
If you guys want to hear, we're not going to talk too much about the Joker's portrayal in this, because if you want to hear about it, we did a full episode on the character of the Joker and some of his roles. We're going to mention him in this and kind of what we were expecting and what we were hoping and what could have been better. But
Everything.
yeah, let's run through the cast first, because the cast is really the selling point of this movie, and some of the actors really do a good job with what they have. First and foremost, Will Smith as Floyd Lawton / Deadshot. Now, Ronnie, you and I watched Arrow for years.
Yep.
Deadshot was a recurring character, a recurring antagonist turned anti-hero, removed from the show when this movie was coming out because Warner Brothers didn't really want to have too much of the same properties on television and movies.
I'm guessing, too, at that point, they weren't thinking multiverse either.
Not yet, no. It wasn't until Crisis that they really just embraced it. But we're big fans of Will Smith. I think that's safe to say.
Yeah.
He gave up Independence Day Resurgence for this. Ironically, probably the better choice. That movie's rough.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even bother.
It's bad. I barely watched it once. But I know we're going to talk about your girl, but what are your thoughts about Will Smith as Deadshot first, Ronnie?
Great choice. Did a fantastic job. I think it's crazy to think that you have all these actors that did a good to great job for most of them, I would say.
There is one that I really want to single out when we get to him, because I hated him until this movie.
Yeah, I know who it is.
It's Adam Beach, isn't it?
Adam Beach.
Yeah,
I liked Adam Beach. They did him dirty on SVU.
Yeah, right. But I
just
think
Will Smith.
he's one of the stars.
He definitely carries the movie. He's
Yeah.
It's hard because a lot of movies you need that audience surrogate. You need the character that the audience relates to.
Yeah.
And puts themselves in the shoes. But they're all
an empathetic character.
Yeah, they're all bad guys. But a lot of them have redeeming qualities. I think the two characters with the most redeeming qualities are Deadshot and Diablo.
Yes.
They're the ones that have a little bit more emotional crux. But Rob, what thoughts on Will Smith as Deadshot?
I like Will Smith. I do very much so. I thought his star power was too big for this movie. Whenever I see Will Smith, typically it's sort of like George Clooney. That when you see George Clooney acting, you're like, oh, that's George Clooney's an astronaut in this one, or George Clooney's a superhero in this one, and it's like to think of Will Smith as this sort of rough around the edges, assassin, it just didn't really, it wasn't believable to me, but that had nothing to do with anything on his part. I just thought that casting was too much. I think they gone, which is why I'm excited that Idris Elba is going to be the new Deadshot.
Yeah.
Because
he's
not
Deadshot.
He's not playing Deadshot.
Oh, he's not.
No, he's playing a different character.
This way, Will Smith can come back.
Come back. All right.
Yeah.
Because I feel Idris Elba would be a better choice, because he is a great, strong actor, and his star power isn't overwhelming. Like, he can chameleon into a role much easier than Will Smith.
All right, that's fair. But let's talk about Ronnie's favorite, not only actress, but also character.
Slipknot.
Yeah. Amanda Waller. No. Margot Robbie.
Amanda Waller is pretty BA.
What is Will Smith? That's gangster.
That's gangster.
Killer Croc. I like her. Margot Robbie is Dr. Harleen Quinzel / Harley Quinn. Arguably the picture perfect casting. Margot Robbie, especially in Birds of Prey, which we'll talk about, she owns the role. She dominates it when she's on screen. They cut out so much of her good stuff, though. There's a scene where she analyzes each member of the Suicide Squad as they're walking down the streets, and it's
that's
gold.
A shame.
It's gold. Like, there's a lot of stuff unfortunately cut out from this movie that's really good stuff.
We want the air cut. We want the air cut.
You say it, and I'm sure it exists somewhere, but Zack Snyder, I hate to say it because I'm really excited for the Snyder Cut. The Snyder Cut's success is going to determine if we see more of this sort of thing, where the filmmakers and the fans dictate how
what
the
gets
movie
put out.
I have a lot to say about this, but I want to revisit it afterwards.
That's fair.
Right.
So
let's go through the cast.
Yes, let's run through this. So Harley Quinn, most of her story is told in flashbacks. It's unique in that her story is not told to the rest of the squad. It's told to the audience. Yeah. The rest of the squad tells their stories. Like when they're in the bar all together, they all kind of share that aspect of themselves. But Harley Quinn, we relate to her because we see it just as the audience, but nobody else knows what's going on. Nobody knows why she's in love with the Joker. Nobody knows why she's, all
a
chemically...
Kung Fu master.
A 90-pound girl with a bat. Like, watch out. But, so, all right, we're going to turn it over to Ronnie. Ronnie,
you don't have to turn it over
Ronnie
to me.
Can have this
no, we'll be here for too long if I do.
He loves Margot Robbie.
I do. Wolf of Wall Street?
Easy.
Even Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
Yeah.
She's amazing in so many things.
She's very talented.
She's very diverse.
She raises the bar for any film that she's in.
I, Tanya.
Oh my gosh, I completely forgot how she did Tanya Harding. She was amazing.
Right? Like, I as far as an actress go, like, I think she's up there. In your modern day actresses, she's probably up there. I would say probably for everyone, top 5. At least that's what I'm picturing for everyone, because she is very diverse. She, like you said, does this role justice. No pun intended.
I'm really excited to see her in the Suicide Squad sequel.
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm hoping she gets a bigger part, and she's probably gonna be, I mean, in this, she's kind of.
Hold on, can I address what Rob just said? That she's in good hands. Doesn't necessarily mean the movie's going to be good, because the studio, especially Warner Brothers, is very famous for, this is a great movie, until we're done with it.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry, Robbie.
Yeah. No, it's all right. It's fine. Interrupt me while I'm talking about
they've given
Robbie.
James Gunn enough.
I think if they're going to give anybody, especially considering how that whole situation went down, I feel like James Gunn's going to have a lot of leeway.
Yeah.
I really hope so.
Because as much as I like Zack Snyder and some of the other directors that have jumped in, James Gunn comes in with a certain gravitas.
If I can put in a plug for an earlier film of his, I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, the film Slither.
Yes. Oh man. Yeah.
What's top favorite horror comedies?
Super. Have you ever seen Super?
With what's his name from The Office.
Yep, and Ellen Page. Oh, that's a great one.
Yes.
And he did Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed.
Well, he didn't
direct. He wrote. Yeah. He was a writer.
Wrote him.
Yeah. Oh, so good. But any other thoughts on Harley Quinn? I think we'll talk about her a little bit more in the next movie.
I think she's the best thing to come out of this movie, but that is because of her portrayal. I don't think she's edited out of the movie so badly, and her character arc is edited out so badly, it's hard to get any appreciation for her or her character. But thankfully, she is memorable enough to outlast that.
All right. Going down the list, we have Joel Kinnaman as Colonel Rick Flag. I'm not a big Joel Kinnaman fan.
Tom Hardy would have been better.
Yes, apparently Tom Hardy was supposed to be cast in the role, but unfortunately Joel Kinnaman he's the normal guy in this team, and he's the one we're supposed to root for. But
Tom Hardy had a schedule conflict. Yes, and he had to drop out.
I would have liked Tom Hardy, but unfortunately, Colonel Flag was not written well. I hope they do better with him in the next movie, because I feel like James Gunn he picked and chose
who he wanted
to come back.
In terms of characters or actors?
In terms of characters and actors. Because I think the only ones coming back are Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, and
Viola Davis,
and
that's it.
Rick Flag. He's in it. Yeah.
Is it Joel Kinnaman again?
It is Joel Kinnaman again.
He can be good. He was, I don't know if you guys have seen it, Altered Carbon.
Yes, we started watching it.
Only the first season. If you're in the middle of watching it, don't bother with season 2. Just stop.
Yeah.
That's fair. We have Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. Now, Amanda Waller was also in Green Lantern. And I know I've seen her on Smallville. We've seen her on Arrow. She's a big mainstay in the DC Comics continuity. Another character that she is literally taken off the page. She's exactly like that in the comics. She's cold, manipulative,
and she's scarier than the villain.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're told, or that's what, they're like. And she, like, how many times do they got to tell us that? And have us
almost as many times as they have to remind us that they're the bad guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
This movie does not assume its audience is very smart.
No, in fact, it's just 2 hours of helicopter crashes and people eating large chunks of meat.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Now this one I'm really excited about. Jai Courtney as Digger Harkness, a.k.a. Captain Boomerang. I hated Jai Courtney until this movie. I hated him.
You and the rest of the nation did, yeah.
The problem was they were trying to push him as this big action star. Now, don't get me wrong. He's got the chops for it. Like, in this movie, he's shredded. You see him at the end. He's like a beast. I think he is much better at comedy action than just straight up. Like, he was in, I think the first thing I saw him in was Jack Reacher.
Yeah.
I saw him in one of the Die Hards.
Good Day to Die Hard.
Oh, God. And that was just horrible.
Yeah.
I think letting him do his natural accent and letting him kind of be almost like a Thor Ragnarok type Thor, I think he did much better in this movie than in previous ones.
It was a nice surprise.
The first time I saw him, I'm like, wow, that is a big surprise. So having watched it a second time now, it was just like, okay, I think, again, he's someone who did very, very well in the character, but the editing so just destroyed his character, and I couldn't make heads or tails out of so much. This is a film of loose ends.
Oh yeah, very much so.
I like his little unicorn.
Yeah, he's got the fetish. But then we have Jay Hernandez as El Diablo, arguably the character with the most development
and the most stereotypes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little rough. But the problem is when you translate characters from comic to film, a lot of these characters are a perfect example is Cisco Ramon in the comics. Oh God, he was every stereotype in the comics.
Really?
Yeah, but they translated him well. I think they could have done a little bit better with, but I do like El Diablo too. When he does his transformation at the end, I remember we were excited when that happens, and unfortunately he does die in it, but
which.
Oh man, Rob just hurt himself.
I actually didn't know that.
You didn't know that he died?
After watching it twice, I didn't realize he died, and then I was watching some reviews of it, and they're like, "Yeah, and he dies." And like, he did?
You see his flayed skin.
I really I didn't know that. Like, that's how confused I was watching this. That twice I didn't realize he was dead.
That's funny.
Oh, I'm gonna butcher this one. So sorry.
You got it.
Adewale Akinnuoye-Agbaje.
As Killer Croc.
As Killer Croc.
I did something.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Wasted completely.
Yeah.
I do like him in the bar scene where he's the only one that's like, what are you talking about? I'm beautiful.
He's got one line.
Yeah. And when he drops I like her.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
But do I need Shakespeare from Killer Croc?
No, but you need some character development from Killer Croc, or at least a purpose in the script.
He
serves no purpose.
He wanted to be E.T.
There is nothing about him that is like, oh, he's memorable or he's important, or there's anything in there to make me care about him.
He helped set the bomb.
Like,
he's the only one that was able to go underwater.
Do we even know his backstory?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He gets a title card.
No, I didn't say title card. I said backstory. There's a difference.
He got run out of Gotham by the Bat.
And that's all we know.
That's
like
all we
don't know.
And his title card.
Did he get a skin condition? Did he like?
I think on his title card he's a metahuman.
He's a metahuman, yeah.
But they do mention on his title card like what his abilities are, that he was part of the circus and all that stuff. Unfortunately, you have to be a comic book fan a lot of the times for stuff like this to really I have to explain this to people.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's not a sign of a good movie if I have to explain it.
Yeah. And the only purpose he really did serve was getting, and let's not forget this, getting the film an Academy Award.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Visually this film is very nice.
Yeah,
Like the costumes are great.
It got an Academy Award for makeup and hairstyle.
And I always say that practical beats
Yes.
computer generated.
Absolutely.
Yes.
He looks fine. I don't like in the comics. Killer Croc's gone through a lot of iterations. Some he's like 8 feet tall, and then like 300 pounds. Like I prefer just how they did it. It was fine. Speaking of not fine though, Cara Delevingne as Dr. June Moon / Enchantress.
And next character.
What else we got there?
All right, let's.
A lot of belly dancing.
She is horrendous.
Yeah.
And that's nothing against Cara Delevingne.
I've seen her in some decent things. Actually, I've even seen her in terrible things, and she did well. That science fiction movie that she was in.
Valerian.
Valerian and something
Planet of a Thousand something.
Which was a horrible movie, but actually I enjoyed her in it.
I liked some of the visual cues with Enchantress. Of course, the one that sticks out is when she puts her hand on the table and Enchantress's hand catches her and they flip. Great visual. Some creepy stuff too with Enchantress, but terrible villain.
And terrible training as an archeologist.
I know she snaps the.
Yeah.
Did you watch
She
the Everything
snapped it.
Wrong With video?
No, why?
Yes, I did.
Mention it. They mention
Like
it.
what kind of an archaeologist picks up an old idol and snaps the head off
Right?
of it?
Yeah.
And not to mention you're going alone. Which
yeah.
which is a point I want to I don't know
Point out.
if it's too early to talk about, but so she goes on this trip alone, yet Amanda Waller knows where she found the idol and where the heart is.
Yeah.
Are you trying?
But she doesn't know where. But how does she know if she went
There's
alone?
no logic in this movie.
Yeah,
Just
don't
logic it.
You're trying to make sense of something that's senseless.
Yeah.
So originally, the film was going to have the revelation that Enchantress was being controlled by Steppenwolf. That would have been a lot better. Just like how Steppenwolf was influencing Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
You know what also would have been a lot better? Having stakes that equaled, like, and I don't want to get into Birds of Prey, but at least with Birds of Prey, the stakes were reasonable.
They were much more personable.
Yeah.
And
like
it made sense.
It wasn't end of the world stakes with laser beams and stuff like that.
I don't think Suicide Squad should... All right, so in all honesty, Suicide Squad should have been a movie where the Joker was the bad guy.
Yeah.
And they needed something from him, and he was in Arkham Asylum. They should have done Assault on Arkham. It's a great animated video that they did for, I think it's on HBO Max, but it's really good, where Batman's a secondary character. Now, Batman's in this movie. Some of the best scenes are the Batman scenes. I love when you find out that most of the Suicide Squad was either captured or run out of town by Batman.
Yeah.
The scene of him chasing down the Joker and Harley Quinn, I've been waiting for a long time for something like that. I mean, we haven't seen that since The Dark Knight.
Doesn't make sense.
Which part?
The fact that he jumps in the water right after the car goes into the water, yet Joker's already disappeared.
I know, but it's the rule of cool on that one.
And she is just lying through the windshield pretending to be out.
Yeah.
It's a testament to how crazy
and
she is.
he goes, oh, this girl that just got into a car accident with a 1-inch blade is trying to stab me. Let me punch her in the face.
Yeah.
I would too. It's Batman.
We'll get into the misogyny of this film.
Yes.
I actually don't have a problem with Batman punching Harley in the face. I don't. And I will explain
I would just like to let the audience know that is an opinion that is only shared by one of our
I will
hosts
explain.
right now.
Okay, so in my line of work, should a female try and kill me with a knife, you better believe I'm going to throw a punch.
You're not wearing full body armor, though, like Batman.
What was he going to do? Carry her out? She was going to
restrain her.
How? She was pinned in there.
his
He
back
needed to get
cuffs.
her out.
He's got back cuffs.
Again, you don't cuff somebody when they're in the
all right.
water.
I will say, actually, in all fairness, I will say that Batman's punch to the face of Harley Quinn was actually really, really, really low on my list of misogyny complaints.
Oh, yeah. And then he tries to revive her.
Yeah.
That one, I'm like, all right, I guess I could see that. And anyone who thinks that it's okay, I'm like, all right. There are some other ones in here that it's like, wow, that is so not appropriate.
Yeah.
But let's continue. We're kind of going into our B list here. I'm just going to run through these really quick. We have Ike Barinholtz as Captain Hunter Griggs. He's the stereotypical jerk CO. We have Scott Eastwood as GQ Edwards. There's a lot of
which one? I was looking for Scott Eastwood. Which one was he?
He's the other soldier. The other soldier with lines.
He's the right-hand man of Flag.
There was a lot of speculation that he was actually playing somebody else, because Scott Eastwood's a decent name. He's got
Clint's kid. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a nice little resume, but nothing. Adam Beach as Slipknot. It just says
red
a
shirt.
Man who can climb anything.
The red shirt of the group.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Karen Fukuhara as Katana.
I did.
She's
like
got
her
my
character.
back. Yeah. Her costume was on point, especially after watching it on Arrow, where it was a little goofy.
Yep.
But and also she is fantastic on The Boys. If you haven't seen The Boys, it is such a great show.
Oh, that's her?
Yeah,
I didn't know
just
that.
a female of the species. Oh. And then obviously Jared Leto as the Joker. Again, we'll save our kind of thoughts on the Joker, but he should have been the villain. Anyway, so a couple of notes on this movie that I know I made, and we'll kind of go with it. Let's talk about skybeams. Skybeams are an overused trope.
Wait, there's Skybeams?
Is this our new sponsor?
Skybeams. Sponsored by Skybeams. When you want to end your movie in a very non-memorable quote or anything like that, use a Skybeam. We'll see what happens. I'll let you do the commercials from now on. That was rough.
That was.
I tried really hard. But
E for effort.
I have not had dinner and we're drinking. But anyway, so I knew Rob was going to bring up Skybeams. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to beat him to the punch.
Okay.
Here are several movies in the past few years that have used Skybeams in any sort of variation.
Before you say that, though, let me just tell the listeners where it's coming from. I made a comment on Facebook about how every single DC movie seems to end in a skybeam, and Paul said something like, well, Avengers started it. And I said, yes, but we learned from our mistakes, and so, that's been the only one with a skybeam, hence DC's...
That has not been the only Marvel... Nope, that has not been the only Marvel movie.
I'm just saying what I said. I'm not saying whether it's true or not.
All right, so now... Having said that,
yes.
I think this, in all seriousness, I think this is the only DC movie that has one.
Okay.
Man of Steel has the gravity beam, which you can argue.
Well, my argument wasn't just that it was a sky beam, but that end of the world stakes as well.
That's fair. So Man of Steel kind of falls into that category, but not Batman vs Superman, Shazam, Aquaman.
Batman vs Superman, Doomsday is an end of the world stakes,
but he doesn't have a sky beam.
He is a Skybeam.
Yes, he does. He's disco.
No, he's a dome.
Disco Monster. Remember?
It's a dome. It's a dome. It has a finite
Doomsday.
But that's terrestrial. It stays on the ground.
Oh, okay.
Well, they have to block it.
All right. Fair enough.
So
Wonder Woman.
Did Wonder Woman have a skybeam?
Wonder Woman had what's his name at the end that they all
Ares, but he didn't have any skybeams.
No, he didn't have skybeams, but that was end of the world stakes.
We're talking about skybeams. Oh. Skybeams with end of the world stakes.
Okay, go ahead.
So the following movies had skybeams at some point. The Ghostbusters remake.
Yes. Well, no. You go back even further to Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters originated the skybeam.
I said recent years.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Out of the Shadows. Okay. Independence Day Resurgence. Yep. Avengers. Captain America had one. When Schmidt grabs the cube, he gets skybeamed out of there.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah. Iron Man has one. When
the first Iron Man?
When they overload the arc reactor. It's a beam that goes through the sky. Transformers.
We're getting technical.
Michael Bay doesn't count. Yeah. In general, in life.
Fantastic.
Again, that's another one that does.
Big Hero 6.
Yes, it does.
I did not notice that.
Hero 6.
So that is just a couple movies.
Right.
It's not a comic book movie exclusive. It is a trope. It is a nice visual.
Yeah, it's very much a trope.
I will definitely say it worked its best in Avengers.
Yeah.
It had a point.
Yes.
But
it's the problem I have is that when movies use it as a crutch to end their film, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah. So let's move past skybeams. Like that's more of a joke than anything else for us because Rob and I like to go back and forth on that one. But it's a guilty movie thing. It's not just a DC thing. It's not just a Marvel thing. It's just movies have been relying on it because it's a nice visual.
Yeah.
And that's why Birds of Prey, like we said, is a little bit better in its end of the quote unquote end of the movie stakes.
Okay.
We've already touched base on it, but let's just finish up with this topic. The villains are terrible in this movie.
Yeah.
I have no problem with the actual squad itself per se, but they should have been dealing with a much smaller kind of threat. and they definitely should have been. It should have been an Arkham Asylum type thing. It should have had Batman, because in all honesty, the problem with doing a world-ending threat with the Suicide Squad is there's a list of other heroes in this universe that would definitely intervene with this. I know Superman's not really doing his thing, and that's also my gripe with Birds of Prey, is that Batman was not involved at all. It's Gotham City. It's not a different city.
All right.
But
two things.
Hit me.
Number one, first of all, we overlooked someone in our cast list. David Harbour.
He's a cameo.
It's David Harbour.
Yeah.
And it's more than just a cameo, because and this is why I'm bringing it up, is because
he
well,
gets
first of all,
Suicide Squad off the ground.
David Harbour. It's
this is before.
Stranger Things had just come out, I believe. The first season?
I don't think so. All right, you keep talking.
Okay,
I'm going to look this up.
But David Harbour, the reason I bring him up is because he brings up a line which I think is key to the misunderstanding of the concept of the film, where he says that one line about, what if Superman came down to the White House and ripped open the roof and pulled the president out? We need somebody to fight Superman. So if that's the case, why hire these people? None of them would hold a candle to Superman. In fact, they talk about the need for a metahuman squad. On the squad, how many of them are actual metahumans?
2.
Yes,
yeah.
2. Like Harley Quinn, as great as she is not metahuman. She is a crazy psychologist who somehow miraculously learned how to be a kung fu master and wield a bat like nobody's business, which again doesn't make sense. You've also got sorry, there's a question in the back. Let's take that.
All right, so here's my rationale.
Okay.
The reason they put Captain Boomerang on the team, and they specifically say it, he tangled with a metahuman and survived. So, because it's a great little cameo with hold on.
No, go ahead. Don't interpret my faces at you.
Oh my God, that's why we got to do video eventually. But they use that as one of the reasons that he would be valuable on the squad, besides his skill set. And Digger Harkness is a military. He's military trained,
but he doesn't show. See, and this. Sorry.
So I can see them wanting Harley Quinn because she's thwarted Batman. Now, having said that, all they had to do was say she gave Batman a run for his money and he put half of the squad in jail. A simple line like that adds a lot of gravitas to why Harley Quinn should be on the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Same with Deadshot. The problem also is, at this point, the DC roster was so small. Mm-hmm. That's the problem with trying to do an ensemble film in a building universe. They mentioned that metahumans, and that's one of the reasons Enchantress is trying to destroy the world, because she says the metahumans are a sign of change in this world. But at this point, it's like Rob said, there was only 7.
Yeah. Slipknot, he can climb. He can pretty much climb anything.
Oh my God, poor Rick Flag.
I don't know why he's in there.
This is Katana.
This is Katana. Killer Croc, even though he is a metahuman, he's stronger than most people, and he can swim underwater, and that's about it.
He's also
super
I heard
someone
durable.
say he's a linebacker with a skin condition. That's about it for him. You have also on there, who am I missing?
Diablo.
All right, Diablo.
Earned his spot.
Absolutely.
He earned his spot.
He should be on there.
I feel like Diablo could actually take on Superman to a point. And technically Enchantress is on the quote-unquote the team.
But there's so many people that are on this team that shouldn't be on this team, and the reasoning that they use to put this team together doesn't fit the actual team that they put together. Mm-hmm. There's no sense whatsoever to why they picked these people. So
because they didn't have anyone else.
Squad is just
but also
stupid.
The concept of the squad was always the B-list villains. Look at the squad for the sequel. You got Polka Dot Man on there.
Yeah.
But at least he's got a power, not like Captain Boomerang. Captain Boomerang has a gimmick and some tech. That's it.
And he can throw.
He does have a skill set though. So
but we never see it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's totally fair. But they do go toe to toe with all this army of monsters, and they're able to go toe to toe with them.
Let me say this, and this will help to also understand a lot of the problems that we have in terms of the logic of this film. As Paul said earlier, this was a film that David Ayer was only had 6 weeks to write. Then what he did, I don't know if this is a well-known fact, he shot 230 hours of film in an effort to, quote-unquote, find the movie in all that footage. And then he put it together. And what he put together was known as the Ayer Cut. Am I saying his name right? Is it
David Ayer, yeah.
David Ayer is the Ayer Cut. Then it test screened with some people in Northern California, and those people said it was too dark and too gloomy and too disturbing. So they went,
Marvel fans.
So they went with a company called Trailer Park. Trailer Park is in charge. Trailer Park is in charge of actually making trailers for films. And they said, we want you to take this footage and we'd like you to make a cut of the film. And so they made the Trailer Park cut, and there was the Ayer cut. And what we eventually, and they tested both of them, and both of them tested about the same. So they combined the two of them into what we have now, which is why we have some parts that are very, very dark and disturbing. We have some parts that are like all sizzle reel all over the place. Like that's where the first 30 minutes is all, the first 30 minutes plays like a movie trailer, where it's pop songs and, sympathy for the devil and, all this other stuff. And the title cards coming up and everything. It's very trailer-like editing. And as a result, trailers are meant to only be like 2 or 3 minutes to get you engaged. But 30 minutes of a trailer, and most people are checked out and they can't take it. Now, the reason I bring this up is because so much footage was probably shot with full character arcs, with full situations for everybody, and so much of it probably ended up on the cutting room floor.
So let's finish the discussion with that as a perfect segue not only into our ending thoughts on this movie, but also into Harley Quinn. One of the biggest things cut out is the Joker and his relationship with Harley Quinn. Unfortunately, their relationship in modern media has been exceptionally romanticized. Yeah. There is this whole big goals like Joker and Harley Quinn. I don't know if you guys saw the animated series where they introduced Harley Quinn, but he treats her like garbage. Yeah. In this movie, there are several scenes cut out where he is literally just treating her. He brought her to Ace Chemical so she'd kill herself. Yeah. That was the goal. But then he had a change of heart at the last minute, which, whatever. But there are scenes of him beating her. There are scenes of him. Apparently, when she fell out of the helicopter, it was because he pushed her out. Yeah. Not because she just fell out. And they reshot it all, but it is rough to watch, knowing that they tried to tackle a serious issue. I'd rather they tackle a serious, hard to watch issue and add to that character of Harley Quinn, because it makes more sense for the next movie.
Yes.
So before we jump into Birds of Prey, Star City ratings. Ronnie, we'll have you go first if you're ready.
I would give Suicide Squad a 2.
A 2.
A 2.
Now, I think when we first saw it, you rated it higher. I don't remember what you did, but
I think it was just the hype of everything, because I think we recorded like I feel like the day after, or like right after seeing it or something. And now that I've seen it, I think I've seen it one more time since then. And seeing the flaws, I think at the time I was just so smitten, I guess, by the characters and not necessarily the story. That's why it was so high. But now looking back on it, I give it about 2, maybe 2.5. Because again, you had the majority of the characters were very well done. And then you had the soundtrack. Even like the imagery and the production of it looked good. But again, just like with a lot of DC movies, they fall when it comes to editing.
And just studio interference in general.
Oh, yeah.
Rob?
Very solid 1.
Okay.
And here's why. Because it's actually, to me, the most disappointing of all the movies, because I think there could be a good movie in there somewhere, but because it is edited to within an inch of its life, and it doesn't trust the audience at all, with so many dangling threads. I'll give you another concept: the idea that in films they do a 3-part structure. They do a setup, a reminder, and a payoff. And I'll give you an example, a brief example, but it's emblematic. It's of the rest of the film, and I know I'm taking an idea that I heard online. The pink unicorn. The pink unicorn, it's shown as a fetish. Yeah. It's funny. We see it. It's there. Later on, it falls out of his jacket. It's the reminder, don't forget, this is there. Then there's the scene where he gets stabbed in the jacket.
It should have been the pink unicorn.
It should have been the pink unicorn, because as the audience, we're supposed to go, aha, I know there's a pink unicorn in there, and it's a wad of money. And okay, it's a subversion of expectations, but then you have something with the pink unicorn, and there's just nothing. There's there's no payoffs at all in this film. Oh, I also just want to point out too that one of the reasons I hate this film is that I don't know if you noticed, one of the producers in it, who also produced Batman v Superman and many of your other films, Steve Mnuchin. Treasury Secretary of the United States, Steve Mnuchin, bankrolled these films, which I was shocked to see. But no, I very solid one. Just because it is so just destroyed by studio interference.
Yeah,
that's fair. For this movie, I give it. I'm going to give it 2 ratings, and I'll explain why. From a critical standpoint, from a podcaster that reviews movies and stuff like that, it is a 2. It is definitely a 2. As a comic book fan who tends to look on the brighter side, as much as Rob and I like to rib each other, and Ronnie likes to rib me too. I tend to look on the positive side. When I go to a movie, I'm looking to, just enjoy myself. And then when I do things like this, I take a step back and I look at it from a more critical point of view. So critically, it is a 2. It is a mess of a film. As a Paul viewing, I give it a 3 because there are so many scenes that I do enjoy in this movie. Visually, the characters look great, and it's so weird because we were in such a long stretch of comic book characters that didn't look like comic book characters, to the point where they make fun of it in X-Men. Yellow spandex. So seeing Harley Quinn come to life, and even characters that I wasn't too familiar with, like Diablo or Deadshot, it's just such a fun time to see them. Will Smith put that mask on more than I expected him to. Because he's Will Smith. He shows his face. It's like every Spider-Man movie. But the bar scene is one of my favorite DC comic scenes, when they're all just sitting in the bar, just like, yo, this is our life. This is who we are. And it's just it's a powerful scene. And the action's good in this movie. I enjoy a lot of the fights. It's just, like we said, it's a mess. It is a big, stinking mess. And like Rob said, it had the potential. Mm-hmm. And there is a great movie somewhere there. And it makes me happy that the studio realized it. And they're putting faith in not a full-on reboot, but a soft reboot.
Yeah.
There are films out there with studio interference where the studios interfere because they just don't get the film, and like there's Brazil, there's all these other films that they just didn't understand. Blade Runner is another example where the studio didn't understand the vision. Then there are those films where the studio goes, "Oh my God, this thing really sucks, and we need to step in." And that would probably be the Fantastic film.
Fantastic, Justice League.
I think. Yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
And with this film, I think it was somewhere in between that it was better than before the studio came in, but it wasn't exactly a masterpiece either. So I think it would have been a solid. It would have been a passable film if the studio didn't touch it, but when they did, it just fell to pieces.
That is fair. All right, so that wraps up Suicide Squad. We're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we are going to talk Birds of Prey, the fabulous longest title I've ever heard. But first,
fabulous emancipation of the one Harley Quinn.
But first, a quick break.
I'll deal with you later. Stay put. I'll be back in a flash.
Back in a flash. Wow. Does he say that often?
Too often.
All right, we are back, and we are jumping into our next topic of discussion, which is Harley Quinn. Oh, no, it's Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
There you go.
Now, nice. The reason I said
How many
that...
word title is that?
That is too long. The reason I say that is because they should have just named this movie 11. Harley Quinn. This movie should have been just called Harley Quinn.
Yes and no.
Birds of Prey.
The Birds of Prey were in it. I think it was better as a setup movie for them.
Right, it's an origin story for Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
So really, they should have just called it Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn makes some girlfriends.
I think though that would have been too on the nose.
But like Batman isn't.
But is this really?
I'm not saying it's
but
not.
Is this really a Harley Quinn movie?
Yes.
Kind of.
Well, it's definitely not a Birds of Prey movie.
Definitely not. So, got a couple of topics that we want to talk about with this movie. First and foremost, I think it's safe to say we enjoyed this movie better. I think one of the biggest draws for me was the R rating.
Yeah.
I think it was DC's trying to find their niche. What works for them. Not even their Deadpool.
I was trying to find a way of bringing that in as a joke. And
I'm sure that Deadpool opened the door for a lot of R-rated material.
I will say it's very Deadpool derivative.
Yes.
Which is not... I'm okay with, actually.
I'm okay with... Because unfortunately, you're going to make the comparison either way. So, like, if another franchise tried to make an R-rated movie in their plethora of PG-13 movies, it would take its cues from Deadpool. Deadpool proved that a rated R comic book superhero movie could work. Because there have been others. Blade worked.
Yeah.
Blade 2 worked. Blade Trinity, we don't talk about.
Logan.
Yeah. Logan also was inspired by
Logan.
Not even that, by Deadpool. They made fun of it in Deadpool 2, where they're like, rode my coattails.
The reason I'm okay with it is because, like, let me draw a comparison where, because I've said that Suicide Squad is derivative of Guardians of the Galaxy because it's shamelessly derivative, and it's like it doesn't fit. It's you're punching the square peg into the round hole, and what you do is. With this, it's not really putting the square peg into the round hole. It's more taking something that's very natural, like Harley Quinn, who is an R-rated character, and putting her in an R-rated movie, which is why, yes, it's derivative of Deadpool, but I'm okay with it. It fits.
I don't know if you guys have seen the Harley Quinn animated show on HBO Max. I've seen bits and pieces of it. It's very good from what I'm told. Apparently, Kaylee Cuoco kills it. But one of the clips that I saw was Harley Quinn like dropping F-bombs to the heroes, and they're like, well, that's unnecessary. I would like to see that kind of iteration. The problem is it limits what kind of interaction these characters can have, because it's just like if Deadpool was in Avengers and he wasn't making the kind of humor he was making, it would feel forced.
Don't forget that Deadpool did make his movie into a PG-13 movie.
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I didn't either, but I've heard that it worked okay.
It works,
but it's like watching it on a cable network.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that same impact. And I
think Mr. Falcon.
That's one of the only drawbacks of making a property rated R in a cinematic universe. If you ever want to include those characters, like I'm very curious to see how Harley Quinn is in this new Suicide Squad movie. I don't know what they're rating it though.
I believe they are going for R,
which I'm fine with.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, comic book audiences have grown in age. A lot of these movies,
they've grown with the films.
Yes. I remember sitting in the theater for the first time going to see Batman Begins and stuff like that. Like we grew up, and I think that having an R-rated franchise in your franchise actually works just fine.
Yeah.
Because I think it's more plausible to have a Suicide Squad movie or a Harley Quinn movie where Batman cameos rather than having Harley Quinn in a Batman movie then. Because Harley Quinn in this movie, she drops it a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not gratuitous either. It's not
and
forced.
That's one of the things I like about this movie. Unfortunately, when you give a movie an R rating, it's usually for either sexual content or violence.
Yeah.
Now, this movie has a fair amount of, mostly a lot of leg breaking.
Yeah.
Like a lot, which I think makes sense for Harley Quinn. She would go for that kind of shot.
Yeah.
But really, it's the language that pushes it over.
Yeah.
So
and the drug use.
Yeah.
That's baking soda. I don't know why. But so let's talk about some of the things that we really like about this movie, and then we'll kind of jump into the criticisms. I personally love the color use and the style in this movie.
Yeah.
They do the title card kind of bit with Harley when she's explaining something. I also like that typically Harley's a narrator, but she's also talking to the audience. right? So she's breaking the fourth wall while she's explaining it. It's Deadpool-ish, but I also like how it's more of a reflection of Harley's fractured mind. So kind of like a super sense that she kind of has, like a level of, like the Joker says that he's not crazy. He has like they've tried to articulate in more recent comics that he has like some sort of like super psychosis where he's just like he's so crazy he's a genius type thing.
Yeah.
I like that Harley, she addresses the audience when it's useful, but she's not like, you know, Deadpool constantly, especially once he becomes Deadpool, every couple of minutes it's look at the camera, say your quip, look back.
Yeah.
And Deadpool makes it work because that's part of his character. And Harley Quinn in more recent years has kind of taken on that role. I really do enjoy, though, the very visual storytelling, especially when Harley's the main focus. When you're focusing on some of the other characters, you're not seeing the bright, colorful explosions. Like when they blow up Ace Chemicals, it's a bright, colorful. And I always kind of imagined that it was more symbolic than actual literal.
Yeah.
It's just the way she saw it.
Yeah.
So it's fun to look at a movie like this where you have to look at it from Harley's point of view. And it's a very empowering movie, but at the same time, it's not beating us over the head with it. One of the reasons I stopped watching Supergirl was because they took they took real life issues and they jammed it down our throats.
I tapped out way before that.
Yeah, and every episode there was probably 3
where they tapped
issues,
like immigration,
everything, immigration, sexuality, you know, all this kind of stuff, and it was just like, here it is, here it is, here it is, here it is. Every episode,
we watch these things to escape.
Yeah.
Do I like when they make it equivalent to real world situations? Absolutely. I enjoy Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman because they tackle.
I was just gonna nail you on that.
No, that's fine. When we were talking about Godzilla King of the Monsters for the Cinematic Adventures podcast we do, we mentioned that in the very beginning of King of the Monsters, they show the perspective of humans from Godzilla, his battle in the first movie, and it's like heartbreaking. Like a kid dies, like the whole family's reeling from Godzilla's heroism, quote unquote. I don't mind if I'm watching a Batman movie. I want to see Batman stuff.
Yes.
If I'm watching a Harley Quinn movie, I want to see bright colors. I want to see silly fun. Like you go into movies with different expectations. I don't go into an action movie expecting the world's greatest plot.
Yeah.
Like I don't go into I'm not going to watch The Departed and expect to laugh every couple of minutes. I don't have a problem, and I know this is like. This isn't a dig at Marvel, but it's only in more recent years that Marvel has been diversifying their stuff. Like, you watch the opening catalog of Marvel movies, their genre is very similar, and their tone is very similar.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem and that's what should have made the DC universe work. Like, here's our dark, gritty Batman movie. Here's our hopeful Superman movie. I know I hate to say it because they didn't do this. Here's our even more hopeful Wonder Woman. Now, what happens when we put these 3 different characters?
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, the Avengers are all almost the same kind of character at a point.
Yeah.
Like by the time we roll around to Avengers Endgame, Captain America's cursing.
I remember back in 2012. When Avengers came out, of saying how interested I was in seeing these different people because their films have different tonal aspects to them coming together and interacting with one another under sort of the same umbrella, and how they would maintain the tones of the individual characters. And it's funny that I liked your idea there of like, you know, the hopeful Superman, the Wonder Woman, the gritty Batman. What happens when they get together and you know, sort of play off of one another? And it's hard to spell that out and investigate that when all of their films are so hopeless and gritty.
Yeah. I definitely think that there's a missed opportunity to mix your genres. Could it work? Absolutely. Could it also fail miserably? I think a great example of it is Captain America and Black Widow. I think watching the scene that comes to mind is in Winter Soldier when he's got Sitwell on the roof.
Okay.
And like he's like, "You're not gonna throw me off this roof, Steve. Like you're the good guy." And he's like, "It's not your style." You're right. it's hers, and she kicks him.
Yeah.
Imagine that scene, a very similar scene, with Batman and Superman at the end of the movie. The end of Batman vs. Superman would have been great if Superman confronted Lex Luthor, and, he's like, Lex is like, no, I'm just going to, you're not going to do anything. And then Batman, and he's like, no, but he will. And you just see Batman appear behind him. That's like...
It's reasons like, it's discussions like this that make me worried about what we're going into with the new Justice League.
So,
and I know I'm touching on that. I don't want to go too much into that.
No, that's fine, because this is the DC universe as a whole, and
you're right. The DC universe is a whole.
Easy, but the whole idea of Justice League is
one that has no bottom, apparently.
Well, it's funny you guys say this because we see the results of Batman vs. Superman in Suicide Squad when
go ahead.
When Batman, instead of just beating the crap out of Deadshot and branding him, he says, "It's over, Deadshot. I don't want to do this in front of your daughter." The Batman in the beginning of Batman vs. Superman wouldn't have cared.
No.
So the problem is we've talked about it. Suicide Squad is a direct result of Batman vs. Superman. It is, and Justice League was supposed to be a direct result of Batman vs. Superman. The trailers for Zack Snyder's Justice League have shown that it is Superman's death, and they mention it in the Joss Whedon. They mentioned that the Kryptonian's death has plunged this world into darkness, and that's why we're here. But it's a throwaway line.
Yeah.
This movie looks like it's really going to lean into, we're here because Superman, the man who could have stopped us, because that's at the end of the day, they also know that Kryptonians are the strongest things around. It plunged this world into darkness because the world's united in its grief at the end of Batman vs. Superman. Because, and again, they don't say it, which sucks. I know we talked about it. Like, there's so much that's not said in the movies, and that you have to interpret. But the general interpretation is that the world came together from a tragedy. Like, we hated Superman a week ago, but he just died.
Yeah.
For us. Like, we feel terrible. Unfortunately, nothing. It's smart that in the Snyderverse, as we call it, they wanted to create a sense of unity from tragedy because that is a reflection of real life. What the old adage is, the thing that sells newspapers is what is it? Violence, sex, and the weather.
Yeah.
And it's true. People unite under times of duress and tragedy. Nobody unites when good things are happening. Like, look at America now, not to get political, but like, we're a hot mess. But
that's putting it nicely.
So, going back to Harley Quinn, though, it's nice to have a movie where the stakes are very personable.
Yeah.
Literally, the plot of this movie is Harley was protected by the Joker. Being the Joker's girl offered her a sense of protection and freedom. I'm cool with that. That's fine. She and him break up, and she addresses it. She's like, I didn't tell anyone.
Yeah.
I wanted to have my fun and my freedom, but then she realizes that I need... And again, they don't jam it down our throats. Mm-hmm. Same with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman had a few opportunities where they can really jam down, well, I'm a strong, independent woman. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I think there are plenty of strong, independent women in media and in real life. I'm married to one. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But, like, look at Black Widow. Black Widow didn't have to remind everybody that she was a woman. In Joss Whedon's Joss Whedon's Avengers, the opening scene's a little with her, I just took this guy out on a date, and now he's giving me all this information. All right.
Yeah.
In my skimpy dress. I'm going to do karate kung fu.
A little black dress.
Yeah. But Wonder Woman had the opportunity within the No Man's Land sequence. Like, no man can cross. They could have easily done the Lord of the Rings line, I am no man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad they didn't. Show, don't tell.
One of the things I like about Birds of Prey is that it doesn't take itself too seriously at any given moment. It is it's not concerned with... Like, it's concerned with some messages, but it does it in a very, very subtle way. Like, I will say that where just... Suicide Squad was deeply misogynistic. This one is very much of a girl empowerment piece. And let's just start with the way Harley Quinn is dressed. If you look at her outfit in Suicide Squad, it is
provocative.
Yeah.
Very. And I would, if I had to guess, I would say that was not her choice to do that. It was probably
David
David Ayer.
I don't think it was his.
It might not be his.
Yeah.
It probably was like Zack Snyder's and the heads up there, WB, saying that, because she is like, it's deeply inappropriate how she's dressed. I mean, the fact that she even has a T-shirt that says "Daddy's Little Monster."
I would
it.
say that it was actually from the reshoots, because you could see that those little booty shorts, they change.
Oh,
yeah,
those are. Like when she has to bend over to get the jewels out of and which she doesn't need to.
Yeah.
Or the fact that she undresses in front of a whole group of guys leering at her.
Yeah.
So many uncomfortable moments. Whereas,
for the record, there's also women staring at her too.
That doesn't make it better.
No.
It makes it more realistic. I mean,
this,
we all drop what we're doing.
In this film, she's dressed
to impress.
Like I don't want to say she's skimpily dressed, because she's not.
It's reflective of her style.
Yeah, it is. And there's nothing where there was no moment where I had to cringe because of the way she was dressed, the way Huntress was dressed, the way Montoya was dressed. Like none of them were. And I think that comes from the fact that you had a female director from this who can tell a female-driven story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like even when Canary has to put her hair up. She has to do the hair tie.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a great. That was a
great
little nuance.
Yeah. Hair tie. Thanks.
Yeah. But going back to Harley, her style is also reflective of her mental state. Like I mentioned before, the colors and how a lot of these things are from Harley's perspective. She's an unreliable narrator. She's crazy. She has her moments of clarity and sanity.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she sees the world differently. And I think it's interesting seeing her dress as she is. And then, like, there's a scene where she's offering Renee Montoya, like, battle armor.
Yeah.
And one of the things, it's the Daddy's Little Monster shirt. I could see I could see Harley Quinn wearing just that shirt, but with pants.
Yeah.
But I like that.
Well, the problem I have with that shirt is the the sexual connotations of daddy on it and
easy.
The incestuousness of it, which is really not appropriate.
More of a power thing, but anyway, family-friendly podcast, guys.
How is that a power?
Don't worry about it. We'll talk later. But
off air.
I think having her be so standoutish in this normal world, I think works. It really does, because the rest of the characters are dressed very conservatively. Like Canary wears a lot of power suits while she's the driver, and then when it's time to throw down, she has a little bit more of a free uniform. And they all get their costumes at the end, and very conservative costumes. Black Canary in the comics.
And the violence against them too isn't misogynistic. It's very logical. Like actually, even in Suicide Squad, I had some problems with the way Joker treated her, but I had real problems with the way Griggs was treating her. That was sadistic and deeply misogynistic. Whereas in this,
but also Griggs, not even Griggs. Harley comes on to Griggs big time in the very beginning, and then they cut to what they were doing to her. So it's a weird transition of power, because like he tells her, he's like, the rules, you're not supposed to be touching the bars.
A weird power dynamic that
it's
Griggs
very strange.
Clearly is abusing.
I can definitely Griggs was not an infallible character, but I could definitely see him not taking advantage of Harley Quinn. He messed with Deadshot. And
but he did have that scene where he had some like a feeding tube jammed down her throat
because she refused to eat.
She was tied up, and he's taking selfies with his tongue out with her, which is
like I don't think there was anything sexual, but definitely a misconduct of power.
Yeah.
But let's go through some of the other characters, because these characters are great. Like and there's one I really want to point out, but we talked about Margot Robbie, but we'll talk about her next. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, for me, steals this movie.
I gotta say, she was a highlight for me.
I love her to begin with.
I loved her droll delivery.
I don't have rage issues.
She's like, we should work together. She's like, I guess.
Yeah. It's not a crossbow. It's not a bow and arrow. I'm not 9.
Bow and arrow.
But one of my favorite scenes is when they cut to her practicing in the mirror her line.
Oh yeah.
You know who I am. It's so perfect. She's fantastic.
I like Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
I love her to begin with. Zach Pilgrim. Wow.
Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim is not only one of my favorite movies, but also like she's just great. I really enjoy her. We have Journey Smollett-Bell as Dinah Lance / Black Canary. I didn't have a problem with them saving her power use till the end, because they also use it in that she passes out after using it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are like, well, why didn't she just do that to begin with?
Yeah,
She
why didn't you lead with that?
She drops. Like,
Yeah.
she immediately drops. And also, she knows, in the comics, Black Canary is one of the best hand-to-hand fighters. Like, she can go toe-to-toe with Batman, Wildcat. Like, she's tough. She can handle it. So I don't have a problem, because when all the goons come into the funhouse, they're all unarmed. Like, she knows, like, I could beat them up.
Why are they unarmed?
Because it's DC. Because,
Yeah, right?
scratch that. Because it's any movie ever.
Yeah, right?
Every action movie
as
has...
I was watching it, I was wondering, where are the people with the guns, and why didn't they
They're waiting
come
outside.
in first?
They only have 5 guns. All right, guys, we have to share tonight.
Yeah, right?
But you know what it is? They every action movie has to do one at a time fights.
Yes, the one at a time.
Yep.
And they have to do the easy goons first.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
I do love when they're going down the slide. And Huntress like climbs
Yes.
up and then she drops. You are so cool.
Stabbing him.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh god. Like she really steals it from me. But I really liked Black Canary in this also.
Yeah.
She doesn't have a spot, you know.
All of them, and see, and this is where this movie went right when Suicide went wrong, is that everything that has a setup has a reminder and has a payoff to it.
Yes,
as
it is
well.
definitely
There
much better. Much better writing.
Narrative, like the original Snyder Cut. I know people might clamor for it, but the only thing I think it had going for it was narrative cohesiveness.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a good movie to begin with, probably. Whereas
It's like the director's cut of Batman vs Superman.
Yeah,
It made the movie make more sense.
Yes, it did. And this one has that going for it, where everything makes sense. There's a tight narrative, and it's a testament to the creativity of the screenwriters and director that they're able to not only juggle so many characters, but through through a fractured timeline as well, with flashbacks and flash forwards and double outs and whatever, everything, and it all comes together and pays off really, really well. Like jokes that are set up early on that you don't know why it's there come into play later on, where you see, like her wearing the T-shirt that she got from police lockup. It's a helpful reminder when she's wearing that. Oh, I know what time frame this is because she's wearing that shirt. And there's a lot of little, audience rewards that are placed throughout the whole movie, which makes it a very satisfying watch.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. Like much, just a better cohesive story, and that's important. Going down, we also have Rosie Perez as Renee Montoya.
I'm just glad that someone is finally being Montoya in the films.
Yeah, Renee Montoya
she's a big character in the comics,
and in and Batman the Animated Series, she was big too.
Yeah.
And also, it's just good to have open characters in these. I enjoy it, and it's not not jammed down our throats.
I wish it had been a little less subtle, because it was like people could have excused it and said, "Oh, she's just friend." Like, because is she dating the DA?
No, they mentioned that the DA is her ex.
Her ex.
Her
okay.
ex.
Like it was buried, and I didn't think it needed to be as buried as it was, because in the comics it's very flagrant. It's not in a messagey kind of way, but it's flagrant in the sense of like that this is life and this is what people do, and it's a welcome. It doesn't stand out in the comics as odd. It very much fits in, and I wish they were a little bit more with that in the film.
Yeah, I really enjoy what they do with her. They do a good job, and like Rob said, though, they could have done a little bit better, but I think it's a step in the right direction.
I think this is a movie is a strong step in the right direction.
The whole movie as a whole, like DC's doing a really good job in some regards with their progression. I think that's also reflective in their TV shows too. As much as we like to harp on Supergirl and even Batwoman, I have not started season 2 of Batwoman. I just fell off it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, no.
It's still not an amazing movie. It's a good movie.
It is a solid.
It's a solid movie, and rewatching it a second time, I enjoyed it a second time as well. I think it suffers from excess at times, where it's like just going a little too far and over the top with some. Like, I will say this, that narration is usually not a good sign for a film. It's usually a sign that it's a weak story and that the audience isn't going to get certain aspects without a narrator. It kind of works for this here because it's Harley Quinn and because she's such a big character like Deadpool, but it is again a crutch.
It is like I'd say 90% of the time, and then you get those rare gems like this movie or Deadpool where the narration has to match the character. And you know, that I would hate a Batman movie where Batman narrated. Get out of here.
Even especially if it was Christian Bale's Batman.
I think they made it. It was.
And then I asked Harvey if I could hang out with Rachel, and he said no.
And then he let the coin.
I think they made a Batman movie where they narrate it like that. It's called Blade Runner.
Yeah. Well, actually, here's a better example, and this is not a spoiler, but they did they've tried to do supernatural spin-offs for years. They did one with Bloodlines, which is just horrific.
But I really want to know if the Jinn are going to control the lower section of
Chicago. I'm more worried about Anus. Enos. I misread that. Excuse me. Yeah. You name your child that when you hate your child. But then they tried to do another spin-off, I think like season 13, 14, like really late in the game.
I'm at the end of 11 right now.
Where one of the characters narrates the episode, and it's just so out of place for the show as a whole. So that's why narration can really work. In cases like, I think narration works when it's funny.
Yeah.
When it brings a sense of gravitas, but also a sense of humor. It makes a big difference. Like, and especially because like, in this, it's sometimes for this movie, it's used in place of exposition.
Yeah, which
like,
it kind of works.
It works better than if Harley was just like, "Hey, you're that guy that the Joker and I tattooed his face." Yeah. No, just narrate it with your title card because it works with the title cards too.
Well, I was gonna say that for me, the title cards was a bad reminder of the opening of Suicide Squad because I hate those title cards because I
love them. I think they're funny.
Such a bad way of getting exposition across to an
audience. But how am I going to know that Rick Flag golfs with 3 handicap?
It's trailer trash. Like,
see, I think
it's what shows up in trailers. And
but you know what? It's funny. They took their concept and they made it better in this movie, which I can respect.
I think it depends. It works. We don't need it for like a Rick Flag. Like if you make it like legit, right? Like with Rick Flag, you don't need to have he golfs with 3 handicap. But like if you put like with your villains, right? And you list what they have, what they've done, and all this stuff to get a background story in, instead of seeing everyone's background story, instead of seeing, you know, the Waynes for the 7 millionth time or whatever, you know, like this is
you're going to have that kind of consistency. Then you need to have consistency also in your film with something like just to go back to Suicide Squad for a minute. Out of all the characters, they only show the scene making a deal with one of them, with Deadshot.
Yeah.
All the rest, they're like, "Yeah, you're just coming with us."
Yeah.
Like,
no, they talk to Diablo too, and
which doesn't work out, and then they
talk
him.
to Diablo. Yeah. Well, it doesn't really work out for Deadshot either.
But at least
it's still one of my favorite lines. Darnell's out.
Yeah,
that's still a great line. But and they go to talk to Killer Croc. So and she does talk to Harley Quinn.
But they don't have that same kind of like, you know, look, this is what we're going to do for you. Okay, well, I don't want this. This is what I want, and I'm talking to you this night. This
because at the end of the day, they weren't going to give them anything to begin with.
But then it should have been the Deadshot movie, starring the Suicide Squad.
Probably would have been better. But let's continue down the list.
So let's continue down the list though with a negative. Let's talk about Ewan McGregor.
But see, I don't see him as a negative. But
and this is going to be, I think, Ronnie and I might be on a similar page.
Yes, definitely.
All right, so let's start with
100%.
I'll start with my good, and then, or do you guys want to do the bad first?
Go with the good.
First of all, I love a character that's over the top. I think it was something that was lacking. Because I'm not familiar.
Are you talking about a villain that's over the top or a character?
I like characters in general that are over the top. I think villains over the top are always a little bit better.
Okay.
Now, up until this point, the problem is Lex Luthor was over the top, but because we're so familiar with the character, it was so jarring and so uncomfortable, and nobody liked it. I think having a character...
Jesse Eisenberg.
Talking about Jesse Eisenberg. Even Michael Shannon, he had moments where he hammed it up a little bit, but I enjoyed it. I love Ewan McGregor. I'm a big fan of him. I love his stuff. I'm so excited to see the Obi-Wan show. He was also a villain that was super unpredictable. He's what the Joker could have been for me. Like if he had been the Joker, same character, same actor, same there's a scene where he's like, you know what, we could probably let them go. This is a big enough. I'm gonna not use the curse words. Big enough statement as it is. You're free to go. Is that a snot bubble? Oh no, that's gross. Killer. I like that kind of unpredictability in a supervillain. I don't always need the master plan. I don't always need, all right, well, A, B, and C are going to happen, but if B doesn't work out, then I got G, E, and F, and then, I don't need that always. I'm not a big, he just wants to kill Harley Quinn. That's and after he wants his diamonds with all that money. He wants money, power, and to kill Harley Quinn. I don't need more in this movie, and he serves his purpose. I wish he didn't die at the end, because I would have liked to see him again.
How did he die? Was it Canary?
No, Cassandra Cain puts a grenade in his pocket.
Oh, right. He blows up into pieces off the pier, right.
And he's an unhinged character, and Ewan McGregor does and it's so weird seeing Ewan McGregor play a character like that. I'm used to, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
So, yeah, I'm used to train spotting Ewan McGregor.
Yeah. Or even The Island's Ewan McGregor. That was another movie. That was my first Ewan McGregor movie, I think. But I understand the faults of Black Mask, and also why he decided after all the violence to put on the Black Mask at the end, it was important. I really enjoyed him, and I liked him and Victor Zsasz, and apparently there's supposed to be some sort of subtext with them too.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, I had heard from earlier rumors that he was a gay villain, and that what was hidden on the diamond was nude pictures of him.
See, I wouldn't have liked that. I'm glad that they didn't do that. But also, one thing I loved his style in this. He had a shirt with his just pictures of him.
I totally missed that.
I
have to go back and see that, because that's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of scene. There's one scene where he's standing next to the statue of himself doing the same pose.
Oh really?
So he's a character that his motivations are just he wants to be the best in the room, and he can't handle it when he's not the best in the room. You see it when he first interacts with Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn was the best in the room.
Yeah.
And in Ronnie's room. Ronnie had a poster of Harley
Margot
Quinn.
Robbie.
Oh God. No, he had a poster of Harley Quinn in his room.
Yeah.
For a long time. Long time.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that's the only time I ever saw your room. But anyway, he can't handle that Harley Quinn is the center of attention, and when he actually gets the chance to take her out, he revels in it. He is a character that he's a 13-year-old boy stuck in an adult body with infinite resources. It's a dangerous comment. He's like Richie Rich as a supervillain.
Now, what's your problem with? And I'm asking you because I don't exactly know why I'm not connecting with him, or I don't fully like him. So maybe you can help. What's your problem with him?
My problem with him is he's supposed to be this big bad guy, right? Yeah. Great at hand-to-hand combat, has all this money in the world. Yeah.
I don't know, but
Black Mask. Yeah. He's supposed to be this great hand-to-hand combat guy who
to the internet.
I'm telling you. and great hand-to-hand combat.
All right.
Great marksman. Right? So he's good with the gun, which you kind of see in the movie, but he doesn't do anything. He has all of his henchmen do all the work for him. Right?
Skilled hand-to-hand.
Okay, maybe this is starting to get a better point for me then, because I think that's what it is he's in charge, yes, but I don't know why he's in charge.
Because he's got the money.
What's so great about him?
His family name,
because they mentioned his family and how they kicked him out.
Bertinellis?
No, Sionis family.
Sionis,
right.
They mentioned that it is a mob family, a crime family.
Yeah.
It was at war with the Bertinellis, and he was kicked out of his family for just being crazy. So he's got that.
Maybe he just wasn't crazy enough for me then.
He's
too
narcissistic.
That I got.
Yeah.
And I can't quite put my finger on what it is that I really didn't like. Like, because the black mask part, that didn't.
He
do
wasn't
anything
black
for
mask.
No, I don't know anything about.
I think
black
if
mask.
he had worn the mask anytime he was doing one of his criminal activities, I would have enjoyed it more.
Yeah,
but because they show his title card where he's wearing it.
Right. Again with the title cards.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind. It's
he-
Harley telling us. It's Harley's narration.
Yeah. But you can't tell us he's black mask if we see him with the black mask for 5 seconds.
Yeah, they definitely should have had him, like when he was going to cut the lady's face, like when they were cutting the people's faces off, he should have been wearing it the whole time.
Yeah.
And then take it off when he's like, no, you're free to go. Like, it's fine. And then she's like, snot bubble. He's like, oh no, puts it back on.
Yeah. I think it was that the blend of comic, the comedy aspects of him, the extreme comedy aspects of him, and the extreme violence from him just didn't meld for me. And I'm not saying that couldn't meld in things. In fact, Pulp Fiction being one of those examples where you have comedy and violence happening at the same time, and you laugh, and then you're horrified at yourself for laughing, but you even laugh more. For this, it just seemed awkward and out of place, like the cutting off of the faces.
It didn't match with the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
All right,
because the rest of the movie, you didn't have comedy with your brutality.
Right. Like think about the scene when she comes in to the police station, is shooting at people, and it's like colors and glitter and everything, and then you have someone cutting off faces, and you're like, this is from a different movie.
But you also get the scene where he makes that girl dance and.
Which again, that was another scene though that for me I was uncomfortable with, and it seemed out of place in the movie.
Yeah. So here's my thought, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this. We've also had comic book movies where we are in a very PG-13 comic book. Loki does not directly kill a lot of people. Right. It would have been like if Loki, who was a very comedic villain, like took off his helmet and stabbed Black Widow instead of just talking to her. Like, we've had movies where they try and balance a very, very dark and twisted character with a comedy aspect. Another good example, Punisher Warzone. I don't know if you ever saw Punisher Warzone.
No.
They have the character of Jigsaw.
That was a choice, actually.
Though, in all honesty, it's not that bad. Yeah. I like the first Punisher movie enough, but it's a total reboot. But they tried that with the character of Jigsaw, where they tried to make him goofy and funny, and then he'd do horrific things. Yeah. It's like I said, I don't know enough about Black Mask. I would have rather, do I love Ewan McGregor's hammy performance? Absolutely.
I do. Yes.
Yeah.
Like when he's talking about the shrunken heads, he's like, now it's just a decoration in my living room.
Ew. Yeah, I do like his over-the-top performance.
I would have liked to see a more gradual progression of his psychosis. Like if Harley Quinn got him to snap at the end, that's fine. Look at the great parallel between the Joker making her snap. You could have worked that into the story. It would have been great. But don't call him, it's like Ronnie said, don't call him Black Mask and show this Black Mask in a title card and then not have him be Black Mask. If you want to, but also at the end of the day, if you want to make him earn that Black Mask mantle by the end of the movie, you can't kill him. He earned it. Like now it's time to set, that's more setup.
Yeah.
So that's one of the few juggling acts that just did not go well.
And it's not a huge thing because it's, for a movie with so much over the topness that this doesn't fully work for me is still it's a point against it, but it's still a movie where I'm like, if I ever see it on somewhere, not that I have cable at all, I just have streaming, but like if I had cable and it came on, I'd be like, oh, it's the Harley Quinn movie, and hang out and watch it for a little bit.
Yeah. So just rounding out the cast, we also have Ella J. Basco as Cassandra Cain, and Chris Messina as Victor Saz. Cassandra Cain's kind of the MacGuffin of this movie, but also an emotional crux for Harley.
Yeah,
it's somebody for her to latch onto. I enjoyed Cassandra Cain. I know in the comics she's a bigger character. I think she takes over the mantle of Batgirl at some point.
She was a nice plot device.
Yeah, but she also had some heart and she had some character to her. Victor Zsasz he's very comic accurate. He does the markings. He's Black Mask's
henchman, right hand.
Sorry, I'm mouthing. Close, I'm like, which one's Victor Zsasz?
Close friend. Close friend.
The blonde with the.
I really enjoyed the scene we were talking about where Black Mask makes the girl dance, he's whispering in his ear.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, she's laughing at you. Because I think he's the sadistic point in that relationship.
Yeah.
And he brings out a point in Black Mask that makes it worse. But they don't say it.
Yeah, it just seems like it's sadism for the sake of sadism and not for the sake of, like, look at a character taking great glee in the sadism. Because nobody seems to be. Like, even Ewan McGregor's character doesn't seem to be enjoying making her dance on top of the table. Or
it's purely just his psychosis.
So it doesn't work for
but
me.
It does bring up the question of what happens when a socio-narcissistic kind of person, a sociopath, a narcissistic sociopath. I got this, guys. Don't worry.
You got it. Keep going.
A narcissistic sociopath with unlimited power and money. What would they do?
Create Facebook.
Yeah, pretty much. We're going to get demonetized. But anyway.
Come and get me, Zuckerberg.
Easy. But, like, what would that person do? And I think Ewan McGregor's
He would hire a sadomasochist.
I know, right? He did. Victor Zsasz.
Yep.
Victor Zsasz cuts his own body with his skills. I think that's also why there's such a disconnect, because you're not supposed to be able to relate to Ewan McGregor's character at all. So before this, on Cinematic Adventures, we were talking about Godzilla King of the Monsters, and we bring up the character that Vera Farmiga plays, and Sean, who's normally very much like me, where it's like good stuff, good stuff, good stuff, critical stuff, good stuff. He hated her. She was like, he hated the character. He's like, I find nothing redeeming about her character. I think Ewan McGregor's character of Black Mask was written to not be liked.
Right, but you can also like how much you don't like someone.
Yeah. But I also think it's refreshing to have, like, we're also in this age of villains turning good.
Right.
Like, look at Loki. Loki's a great example. As much as I like Loki, and we're gonna watch the Loki show.
Oh yeah.
That was another character where he was a bad guy.
But there's also those characters that you love to hate, and I don't even love to hate him. Like at least Heath Ledger's Joker, and I'm sorry I'm bringing him up, but he's someone that he's so evil that you love to see how evil he is.
Yes. Because he had a sense of rationale.
So maybe this character doesn't have a...
It's because this character was so disconnected from... The only people that can relate to him are Patrick Bateman. Like, you have to be the psychopath.
But even watching Patrick Bateman, I love to hate him.
I just enjoyed whenever Ewan McGregor was on the screen.
Like, whenever Patrick Bateman goes off about Huey Lewis in the news, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so awful and great at the same time.
I know, but like there are scenes where I have that with Ewan McGregor's Black Mask. The scene of him, ew. He says ew a lot. There are a handful of scenes that he said, why don't we have the crossbow killer? I like crossbows.
Yeah, that was good.
Like those kind of scenes I really enjoyed. Like I said, I think...
Yeah, and he didn't totally not work for me. There were just, like, the sadism and when he became murdery just didn't work for me.
It was jarring.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to describe it.
And not in a good way.
So, I think the last thing we're going to talk about, I'm looking forward to this conversation, the fight scenes. DC has a weird track record with fight scenes. We look at movies like... Man of Steel, I really enjoyed the final battle between Superman and Zod.
And... You know I did not.
Yeah. Yep. Batman vs. Superman, I love the warehouse fight scene.
You know I did not.
I know. Now, this movie, we had Suicide Squad, which had some good action pieces. I know we just talked about it.
I did not.
Really? Even Suicide Squad? You didn't like the
Suicide Squad? The Suicide Squad scenes, if you look at it from an editing perspective, there's
I'm not talking about editing. I'm just talking about just in general.
The choreography of it, I think, is dreadful.
Okay, that's fair. Now... Let's jump into this movie. No, it's fair. It's his opinion.
Just going to skip over this?
No, I mean, we could talk about Shazam. We could talk about Aquaman. We could talk about Justice League.
Help me with this. What would you consider is a well choreographed fight scene from Suicide Squad? And I'm not being.
I like the first scene where they're fighting the Power Ranger putties on the street. When Deadpool finally takes control and he just like blasts them all away.
Okay.
Deadshot?
What did I say? Deadpool?
Deadpool.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, Deadshot. When Deadshot
edit that out and post.
Yeah, right.
I'm not editing anymore. I'm already they're edited twice in this.
Okay.
I like that scene on the street when they're fighting the army, and you kind of get a glimpse of each one of them, their fighting style and what they do. I enjoy that scene in Suicide Squad. Otherwise, the rest of the action set pieces, take them or leave them.
I will tell you that if I were to rank all the action set pieces, that would be probably at the top for me for Suicide Squad, but that's still bottom of the barrel for me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Just because it's a...
I don't know. What about the two... what about Diablo fighting?
I do it.
The fire monster?
I do enjoy.
Too CGI'd.
That's the only issue with that. Now,
the problem I have with the Tar Monster ones is because they're fighting people that I have no connection with, and I don't care what happens. And it's also an unnameable, unstoppable force that seems to be easily taken out by Deadshot just hitting them where the army guys weren't.
So, like, should I just shoot a missile at their mothership and they all just die? Would that be better?
So
a CGI faceless army.
The fight scenes in Birds of Prey,
coordinated by one of the coordinators of John Wick, and
oh really? Okay.
Yeah, and you can tell. So here are some things that I like about the fight scenes. Number one, long takes. I love a good long take when it's done right. Kingsman really kind of set the bar and kind of set the trend.
Yep.
Where they just do this long take of fighting. Daredevil, the hallway scene is still iconic.
Yep.
When they do the fight scene of them in the funhouse, it's beautiful. It is love, and it's all realistic. Each character kind of has. It's definitely not CGI, which is always good.
I mean, there might be little nips and tucks of CGI here and there, but it's
probably
not noticeable. Yeah,
it's not like a CGI monster coming after you.
And each character has their own way of fighting. Mm-hmm. You see Black Canary with a lot of kicks, a little bit like Taekwondo-ish, which is great for us.
Yep.
She spins a lot. Renee Montoya is a brawler. You could tell she did boxing. And then Harley Quinn's like jumping around and doing acrobatics. I also really enjoy the police station engagement. It's really good. It adds something with why Harley would be using beanbags. She's a character that it would make sense. It makes sense.
Totally fits with her character.
You know, the confetti guns and the beanbags and all that.
Because she's not really into killing and all that.
Well, not even
stuff.
that. If she's gonna kill with style.
Oh yeah.
Or she's going to do it because it's funny.
Yeah.
Yes. It's got to have a joke.
Yes. What I liked about the fight scenes, I lost my train of thought. Never mind. Go on.
So the thing that I like about them is Margot Robbie also does a lot of her own stunts.
Oh, I remember now. Sorry.
Edit.
And we're back.
I remember. All of their fighting is realistic, and as you were saying, but in Suicide Squad, they're doing things that it's like, why is it work for them but not other people? Why is Deadshot able to kill all these people but the army couldn't? Why is Harley Quinn able to kick them where the way other people could? And then the stuff that Harley Quinn is doing, she's like a grandmaster in what she's doing. Whereas in this film, it's all like, okay, it's a bit much, but it's at least believable.
It makes sense, like her breaking the legs.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I said before, it makes sense that Harley Quinn would hit somebody in the kneecaps.
What else do you use a bat for?
Baseball.
Oh.
Like, you know,
Sports.
it's not real. You know it couldn't happen, but it's at least believable within the confines of the film.
And also, I know when we did our Batman episode, which you can find on all of our links, we talked about one of the things that makes, like, Batman checklists, right? What makes a good Batman? I think what makes a good Batman villain is how well I think they would compare when fighting Batman. I feel like Batman would be really annoyed with Harley Quinn.
Yes.
Like, if he, and again, that's why I justify that he has to punch her in the face, because he's dealt with her before. And I could see Harley going like, oh no, Bats, I'm coming quietly this time, pulling out a mallet that shoots a boxing glove at him. Like, I could see that with this Harley. So, like, you see her, she takes down like a ton of goons, and in all realistic ways. Once she gets the baseball bat, like, that is some of the best choreography in the movie, where she's. Is
that when she's coked up?
I think it's around the coat.
Yeah.
Oh, fun fact! Apparently, next to the baseball bat, I didn't notice this, is Katana's sword.
Huh? She's got my back.
Yeah, because it traps the souls of her victims. They cut that out of Suicide Squad, where she's actually talking to her husband, like, in that sword. It's a powerful moment. Hey,
so much on the cutting room floor.
But I think that's kind of wrap us up on Harley Quinn. Like, it's a good movie. We enjoy it. Star City ratings. Let's start with Rob first.
I would go 3 to 3 1/4.
Wow.
Yeah, it's. I will say, I will, out of all the horrible the awfulness that my past few weeks have been in having to rewatch all of these DC films, this has been one of the few bright spots. Like I really haven't enjoyed seeing any of them except for this one where and you know what? It has enough sense to get out early too. It doesn't go on too long like so many of these other films.
That's fair.
So I would give it a solid 3.25. And I will say this too. I would watch this over Aquaman any day, and it might be better than Shazam.
I think I'm going to throw this out there to the other hosts and let them kind of tell me their thoughts. We're going to do WandaVision and the first couple of episodes of Winter Soldier after the Snyder Cut, but maybe a bonus episode, a little retro review, because I know you and I did. Not only did we do an Aquaman episode, Ronnie, but we also did Captain Marvel versus Shazam.
Yes.
Episode.
Yep.
I think maybe a bonus episode, or maybe even on the YouTube channel. You can check that by searching the Misfit Faction Media Network. Maybe a quick little review on the DCEU universe after Justice League and where we kind of expect. Would it be different if Zack Snyder's Justice League had been the movie?
Yes.
But yeah, a little bonus stuff for you guys. You heard it here first. What? Ronnie, Star City rating for Harley Quinn.
For Harley Quinn or for Birds of Prey? Because Harley Quinn he's given 5 stars for.
I know,
Harley Quinn gets a 12 out of 5. No.
69 out of 5.
Yeah, right? Birds of Prey, I would give around a 3.5.
That's fair.
3.5. You know, I feel like there was no wrong other than, for me personally, Black Mask is kind of what knocked it down. If they would have done him a little bit better, this movie could have possibly been up to like around a 4 in a way. Like Rob was saying, this is definitely, out of all the movies we have done so far this month, this is the number one movie that we've done. It was, and I am a sucker for Deadpool, and this had some Deadpool vibes to me a lot, actually. And that's kind of what helps it out with me and everything in the score. So I'd give it 3.5.
You know what, Ronnie? I am also going to give it a 3.5. It is, it's better than it should have been, which is always a pleasant surprise. Like, I think Suicide Squad just put it at such a low bar that I wasn't expecting this. So I really enjoy this movie, and I think it's a great way to show that we can do individual movies while still being part of this universe, because unfortunately this universe is on its way out. I hate to say it, but
and the crazy thing about this movie is it's definitely one of, if not the best films from DC, right? In that time frame from, say, Man of Steel to where we are now. It's one of the best.
The DCEU.
Yep. Yet it made no money.
This movie,
I was just going to bring up something about that.
The marketing for this movie, like I said, I think the biggest thing they should have done was, because they actually tried to, after this movie came out, they tried to call it just Harley Quinn.
Right.
Yeah.
Rob, it looks like you want to tell me something.
Oh, I was just going to say, I have numbers here if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, hit it.
Domestic gross was $84 million. Which actually matched its budget.
Yep.
Worldwide gross was 201. Opening weekend was 33, which I have to say, for a DC female-led
February
superhero,
movie,
and not only February, but February just before the pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah.
This movie, I think, was an early. I wouldn't say a victim of COVID, but COVID was definitely a contributing factor.
I think this movie might have had a chance at growing legs.
Yeah,
had we not
word of
been
mouth
shutting down.
Because also this movie was they released it onto HBO like really quick.
Yeah,
because they wanted to make their money. They didn't release it on HBO. They released it on DVD. They're like, please buy our movie. So unfortunately, like critically, it did better, but financially, it was.
Yeah.
I will say this though: looking at IMDb and looking at user reviews, there are some savage reviews on here too.
Yeah.
Now, I also don't know how much of those are just haters and trolls, or just going against a female-led superhero movie. But I'm sure there is some truth in here too about we might not necessarily be the status quo for this film either.
Yeah.
But I really like it's the DCEU as a whole is just very strange. So we talked about 4 movies this month leading up to the Snyder Cut. We talked about Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. I think we more the Ultimate Cut than the regular. Suicide Squad and Harley Quinn: Birds of Prey. I know I messed it up. Come on. How would you rank those 4 movies? We're not going to talk Justice League. Okay. So I think for like if I had to sit down and here are your 4 movies, you have to watch all 4.
This is easy.
I know it's probably easy for you. I would probably watch. I'll go first because I know I keep making you guys go first, and I thought about this while I was talking. I would always put on Man of Steel first. Man of Steel,
happen.
And then I would actually be torn between Batman vs Superman and Birds of Prey because I just really enjoy Batman vs Superman. I'm sorry.
Ronnie choking?
Am I okay? I'll be sure to
trying not to vomit.
I'll be sure to be mean while you do your thing. That's fine. This is subjective. This is just my opinion.
So you're ranking these in terms of best to worst?
Movies that I'd want to watch. That I like. If I had to sit down, it's like, all right, you got 4 movies. You can watch. You got to watch them in the order you want. The more you watch, the less you have to pay attention.
Okay.
Like pure entertainment. Like if I had to watch these movies, I'd watch Man of Steel is my favorite of these 4. Then Batman vs Superman and Harley Quinn, I could juggle between, and that's personal preference, Ronnie. And then Suicide Squad would be dead last, unfortunately. So, Ronnie, if you had to watch these 4 movies, what would your order be?
Birds of Prey.
Really? Sorry,
I was just gonna turn off his mic.
Yeah. No, to be honest with you, I do have a toss up with Birds of Prey, but it's with Man of Steel. Either one, I would say Birds of Prey.
You're ewing me, and we're like almost in the same.
No,
get out of here.
No, because you said it's a toss up with Batman vs Superman and Birds of Prey.
Mom and Dad are fighting again.
That's why I went.
Usually it's you and me,
so
Rob.
I'm gonna go Birds of Prey, Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, and then Suicide Squad.
And he gave me grief. Like my 2 and 3.
I think I might have the same order there.
Same order.
Is it my turn?
Yeah. Hit it, Rob.
Birds of Prey definitely first. Suicide Squad is definitely dead last, and then I probably want Man of Steel over Batman v Superman just because that first third of Man of Steel is so interesting with Krypton and it does some things right there, but then after that it's straight downhill.
That's fair. I think when we do our Snyder Cut episode, we will definitely I think at the end we'll rank it with the other DCEU properties. So I think the host will probably sit down at some point and we'll kind of talk where it falls, because the DCEU, as much as I'm a DC guy and I love my DC, it is a mess. It is a hot mess. And there's definitely a break in DC. Like, DC movies look very different after Justice League. They look so different. Like, Aquaman, Shazam, Harley Quinn, Wonder Woman 1984, they are a different set of movies.
Yeah.
A lot more bright colors.
I was going to say they actually have color schemes in them.
Yeah. All right, then. So, I think at the end of our review of Zack Snyder's Justice League, maybe we'll do a ranking.
Yeah.
We have 10 DCEU movies ish, and we'll ish. I said ish. We don't need to count right now, Ronnie.
I don't have enough fingers.
Yeah, your toes are out.
Math is hard.
So
too many numbers.
I think that's gonna wrap us up for tonight. Now, don't forget to tune in next week. We're gonna be recording and watching Justice League, the Zack Snyder cut. We are.
That's where it all comes together.
It's so weird that we're at a point where one movie can determine an entire franchise.
Yeah.
Where we go from here is anybody's guess. So if you guys want to add your opinions to anything we've recorded so far, or you want to find some of these past recordings, you can find us at themisfitfaction.com. Make sure you tell Ronnie he's doing a great job on the website, because in all honesty, he is. It's a lot of cool stuff. We also have our review section opening up soon, which is going to be a Rob project. Really looking forward to seeing some of that. Our YouTube channel is live, the Misfit Faction Media Network. You can also find us on Twitter at Misfit Faction. I don't know how we managed to catch that name, but it's there.
I'm good.
You are good, Ronnie.
good.
It used to be MV Fancast, and I used to not be able to say it.
Yep.
You can also find all of our episodes on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, iHeartRadio, and obviously our website's always updated with our most recent episodes and recent content. So, as always, I think that's going to wrap us up. I'm Paul.
I'm Ronnie.
And I'm Rob.
And we'll be back in a flash.
See ya.